Okay, Ronnie Murchinson-Rivera, welcome to Left Out Loud.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well,
Thanks, Ronnie.
So, Ronnie, you are running for Congress in Florida's 6th district,
yeah.
which I took a look at that, and it's on the eastern coast of Florida, right?
hmm
And I think for like the non-Floridians watching this, probably the most famous city in your district would be Daytona Beach. Is
Yeah.
that right?
hmm
And so in my heyday, that was the premier destination for spring breakers that were traveling within the US. I don't know if it's still like that, but in the
Oh, it's still
90s,
like
it was
that.
a time. It was a time, Ronnie. So I want to start off with you were born and raised in New York City,
hmm
and then you moved to Florida um, almost 10 years ago now.
hmm
Those two places are very different culturally, politically. How has that experience of living, growing up in New York City and now being, a Florida resident, how have those two experiences kind of shaped the type of representative that you want to be?
First, I'm say Happy Mother's Day. Thank you.
Thank
Um,
you.
but
Thank you so much. And to your wife as well.
thank
And your
you.
mother.
Oh, yeah. My mother. So all my family is still up north. Most of my family is still in New
Oh,
York and
Mm.
Connecticut, and I think running for Congress here, coming from a diverse background, a place like New York
mhm.
City is a great thing for Florida. Um, it is different, but it's similarly alike as far as what we want in a country, right? I was just talking to somebody yesterday who was also from New York, and he said, people down here are just the meanest, you know. And he's been here for almost around the same time. I said, you're right, because in New York we see people down. Um, we try the best to help them. We could just tell on somebody's face when somebody needs help, and
Yeah.
we're open about it and willing to say, "Are you okay?" Here's like
Yeah.
you just like they arrest people for begging for food.
Mm.
I mean, it's that, and then people call the cops on mothers just trying to get by, and,
Right.
and it's a different atmosphere, but it's not everywhere, but it's a majority of the places, and
Hmm.
it's because of the political climate we're in here in
Yeah.
Florida. Um, I think the Republicans took advantage of Florida and turned it into what it is now, and it's hard for us to get out of, but it's
Hmm.
but it's we are. We're
Yeah.
doing it slowly but surely, but it's happening. But I coming from New York, it taught me a lot of things, and a lot of people I can tell them what could be the Florida that we want, because I
Hmm.
came from a place that everybody is asking for, and they're like,
Yeah.
wow, that'd be great.
Absolutely. And New York has gone through so many, you know, phases throughout
Mhm,
its existence. I started going to New York City in the 80s as a kid, and it's a very different place then than it is now,
mhm.
you know, and different administrations have come and gone and made a lot of changes in New York City. And I still believe it's one of the greatest cities in the world. Um, and you're right, people do care in New York City. There's a sort of a misguided, you know, opinion that New Yorkers are cold and callous, and they don't talk to each other, and the streets are crowded, and that's just really not the vibe if you've
Nope.
ever been to, lived in, or visited New York City.
Yeah, you're right. Most of them go to Times Square. It is packed and crowded,
Yeah.
but there's a life outside of Times Square that, yes, we are tough. I mean, it is rough. I
Mhm.
mean, there's a rough place in every state, in every city, in every country you go to. But at the end of the day, trust me, the most meanest gangster there got a soft heart somewhere, especially for
Mm.
children and elderly and homeless. So we
Yeah.
care. Mhm.
Yeah.
Ronnie, I wanted to get into a little bit of your background as an EMS worker, and I'm sure that it really, ingratiates you into the community. You get to know the community really quickly because you're having to drive all over the place and help people. I'd want to know from your perspective, what has it done, making you think about the healthcare system and what we can do to help people? Because I'm sure you've seen people go, don't take me to the emergency room because they can't afford that bill. What's it been like in your experience as an EMS worker?
It's absolutely what you said. I saw people call us just to help them right there and say, "Is my blood pressure high? No, okay, don't take me because I don't need to go." Or is it high enough
Wow.
where I might die? Yeah, well, I can't go because I can't afford the bill. Um, it's that bad, and it's gotten worse. When I lived in New York, I started a nonprofit organization with the intention of starting a free ambulance service for people who can't afford it. And of course, that was
Wow.
shot down by big corporate people who are for profits. Because the people
Hmm.
who sat on the board to give us the license to run the ambulance service, uh, or the owners or the CEOs are for profit, and they believe we were going to trample over their money.
Gross.
Because where I lived at in New York City during its time was Rockaway Beach, was the beach, and there was
Yep.
a lot of nursing homes there because they usually ship them the elderly population off into an island like Rockaway, and
Hmm.
we didn't get that portion up and running, but we didn't give up hope. We kept doing first responder stuff. We kept homeless services, veteran services, but yeah, working in EMS has I worked in one of the I worked in the South Bronx for the majority of my career. I saw a lot. I
Yeah.
saw people come together at the worst of the worst. I saw people stay home because they can't afford it. But at the end of the day, I saw community come together and help one another out because, uh, just as much as that person couldn't afford to go to the hospital, the neighbor will hear that and be like, you know what, let me try to help you do something. But we need to change this atmosphere where uh, health insurance and medical help is not a necessity. It should be a right. We
Yeah.
need it to survive. That's why when I go canvassing and I go talk, my top two policies, of course, is affordability, right? Of course, affordability is on everybody's plate. But I tell people, healthcare is my number one thing because I can help. I can push to get your APR rate lower to buy a house, or you know, um, your medical debt not affect your credit score. But if you're not here to enjoy that, what is the
Yeah.
point? And if you can't get the help and take care of your body, and there's a chance for you to die, it makes no sense for me to help get your roads fixed and all that other good stuff. Or
Right.
you got to be here to enjoy that. So healthcare is number one. You got to take care of yourself. And I saw a lot, but it also helped me into why I'm running for U.S. Congress to show that I was born in a project as well. I didn't have a lot growing up. My mother was not a single mom. My dad was in my life, but we lived with her by ourselves, right? And it taught me a lot. My life have taught me a lot, and that's why I'm so into giving back because I don't want people to end up the way I saw and the way I was raised for the first couple of years.
Yeah. Makes total sense. You're exactly right. Without healthcare, that's the foundation to everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you worked, correct me if I'm wrong, you worked as an EMS worker, you've worked in education, you've worked in law enforcement. All of those public service jobs are so much more outcome oriented than optics oriented.
Yeah,
So, running for office, you're going into a world where the focus is more about optics and less on outcome. What do you think you bring to the table if you were to get into Washington, D.C., that you could potentially shift some mindsets from optics to actual outcomes that are going to benefit American people?
absolutely. And that's we need to change that
Yeah.
because it shouldn't be who looks the best, what party is the best. This looks okay because we're feeding people. We need to go in there and show them that there's a person like me who came from the struggle, who lived it, and we don't care about what you think or what you see. We care about the outcome of it, and the divisiveness, how divided Congress is right now. People
Yeah.
are seeing that. I mean, how can you expect the world and people not to be divided if the people who run this country is divided themselves, right? So I'm coming in with the mindset of that. If we want change, we have to show that there's change. We have to show the people that here is the change, not just say, Ronnie, like a lot of people say, a lot of people talk a good game. And I
Yeah.
said, look at my background in EMS and law enforcement, and like you just mentioned, all those good things. I have proof of what I've done, and I can show you the receipts of what I've done. And my goal
Mhm.
is not to go in there and start talking and saying this is what I'm gonna do for you. I'm gonna actually do it.
Yeah.
And the mindset is we got to get, you know, it's ultimately going to have to come that these people who's been in Congress for so long has to go. Um,
Yeah.
we need people in there who actually live this experience and not bottle fed and spoon fed their whole lives, um, because they don't understand the real struggle of everyday working Americans if they were just given everything their whole
Right.
lives, right? And
Right.
so we have to show it, and we've been showing it. You know, got people like I adore AOC because she come from the same city as me, and she came
Yeah.
from the struggle, and people like that's now getting into a position where she's not giving up or what
Yep.
she, you know, because she came from it. She
She
understands it.
understands. She
Yeah,
understands the struggles of, the community where she grew up, and she'll carry that with her forever,
yep,
right? She's worked in the service industry, and
yep,
those are the kind of things that stay with you for
yep,
life.
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Ronnie, Zoran Mamdani has already done so much to help New Yorkers. And coming from there, I'm sure you're just so happy to see that finally happening for your fellow New Yorkers and stuff like that. What can you done and what have you kind of seen with Mamdani and what he's doing up there that you would like to see happen in New York for working families? Because I know
In
that
Florida.
working families is one of your biggest things in Florida.
Listen, I oh, please let me get his endorsement. I'm working on some things. Um, no, I love this guy. I, my family's up there, and they actually seeing the change. That's what I want to see in Florida. I don't want a politician to just talk the talk because that's what New York has been having for so many years. You get these politicians who come in and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to give free childcare, lower the costs, tax the rich. And then once they get in office, the green dollar sign is all in their eyes. And they just forget about the people, really. Um, that's what I want to see in Florida because Zoran Mandami, how long he's been in office? We're in May. He's got it about 4 or 5 months. Look at the
Crazy,
amount of
right?
things he got done in
Yeah.
5 months. You get what I'm saying? And it
Hmm.
shows that when you get a real leader who's actually really there to change things, it can actually happen. And that's what we need to see in Florida. Too many people are lining their pockets, greedy, don't really care about the people, putting money over, you know, the people. And Jerome Mandani is a real guy, and that's really doing what he said.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to see in Florida. I want people like me who's going to get into office and pull a Jerome Mandani and actually do what I'm telling these people that I'm going to do. And I want them
Hmm.
to hold me accountable because he made offices and channels to reach directly to him for problems like the pothole thing.
Yep.
People don't understand that it might be a small thing for you guys, but in New York, those potholes is a real deal situation, right? And for him to actually listen and get 90% of it fixed, and when after like a cry within a week,
Yeah.
those are the kind of leaders we want that can actually listen to us because it's those small problems like that that can make our lives a little bit better.
Yeah, I really saw like a a very it was almost like a thing that Florida and New York have in common, right? Because it's a destination
Yep.
state.
Yeah.
People want to live in New
Yep.
York. There's a certain status that comes with that.
It's
Well, it's almost like
aspirational.
the same thing in
Yep.
Florida.
Yeah.
People want to retire and move to Florida and get that house by the beach,
Yep.
baby. And like that's an Americana thing.
Yep.
So I really think that like you could you could do a lot of things with that because there's a lot of wealthy people in Florida that want to live right there on the beach and and you got to have a little money to do that. So they're not going to want to go to Alabama
Nope.
or the Mississippi
Nope.
coast to do
Yep.
that. So I think you got a built-in kind of base of people would who want to live in Florida because they want to live in Florida. They
Yep.
want to live on the beach and that's something that I think that you could always kind of use to your
Oh, I
advantage.
do. And I do. And I do because, like you said, New York is a big destination city, but so is Florida. We
Yeah.
don't got snow.
Yeah.
People come
Right.
here for the sunshine and not have to. I mean,
Right.
that's one of the reasons why I moved. I was tired of shoveling snow, and
Yeah.
and and
I get
so
it.
you got the beaches, you got Miami, you got all these destinations, but now the effects of this administration and its governor. Like gas here in Florida is the almost same price of New York normally is, and it's like, and people always conflate the two. Well, New York gas is always high. You're right, but I can stand at the corner of New York and spin my head and said, now what I want to eat today.
Mm,
Can't do that in Florida, right? And if there's a
right.
different living lifestyle in New York, and people pay for that.
Exactly. It comes at a premium.
Yep.
You know, that it is the city that never sleeps. You can go anywhere at any time and get anything.
Yep.
And that comes at a price.
Yep. Public transportation.
And public transportation, right? Where do we have that? New
Yeah,
York City.
we don't have that in Florida. That's something that a lot of people on this campaign trail is complaining about. Right? I'm tired of driving.
Yeah.
I really am.
Especially now with the gas prices. You know,
Yeah.
it just gets more and more expensive.
Yeah.
So, Ronnie, are there any issues in your district that maybe we wouldn't know about or mainstream media isn't talking about, but we should know about? Like, is there something in your district that's happening that you want to bring attention to or want to remedy as a candidate?
Absolutely. There's a huge flooding problem happening here in
Okay.
Florida. It's huge. Especially in Volusia County, Daytona Beach area. And it's not, it don't
Uh-huh.
have nothing to do with the beach. It's the water. They drilling and they building all these homes and it's sinking and it's being destroyed. We have an infrastructure problem here, and that's
Right.
contributing to all these environmental problems that's happening. And I think Florida is, every state has to build, but I think
Mhm.
they're building too fast
Yeah.
and everywhere. And our ecosystem and it's just taking a big toll on us. So we need to bring the environment issue back up here in Florida because,
Mhm.
like I said, these politicians have been too focused on money and getting recognition and money and money and money and money that now we have all these houses are sitting on swamps being right here in Mount Dora, that's the area I live in. After Hurricane Milton came, the roads got destroyed. They built those roads so fast in 3 weeks. The next rainstorm, not hurricane, not flooding, rainstorm came and wiped it all out again.
Wow.
And now same thing. They took away these orange groves, built almost 200 homes, and now a lot of them are sinking in. And and
Mm.
Unreal.
and that's because of aquifer and all these other problems that he didn't do a study on. And because what
Yep.
people don't understand that Florida only sits on one tectonic plate, not like New York. New York sits on six. That's why there's a lot of homes in New York that have basements. And
Right.
Florida don't have a lot of basements unless you live on top of a hill
Yep.
because we can't. We sitting at sea level. And what
Yeah.
happens if you put something at sea level and you keep putting things on top of it? We sink. And
Exactly.
this governor don't believe in listening to scientists.
Mm.
So
And
we
they're
have a
just
big
so they're just
environment.
putting band-aid on top of band-aid.
Yeah,
And and that comes at a huge expense. If you're not fixing the root cause, if you're not taking care of and addressing the underlying issues, that's all the more money that taxpayers are going to have to contribute for all of these band-aids
yeah,
because you never address what's really causing the problems.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us because every district is unique and mainstream media is not talking about that. But because you live there, you
Hmm.
have a firsthand account of what really needs to be addressed in your district. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, we gotta. And there's so much more, but I think that's the main focus. Like I said,
Yeah.
because if we can't fix the roads unless we get the root problem, like you just said. So
Yep.
Yeah, I think we could talk about, what green energy could do for America and, global warming and all that. We could talk about that for an entire
yeah,
episode, right? And, and what I like to say is that you don't have to believe in global warming. Just ask the insurance companies in
yeah,
Florida if they believe in global
yeah.
warming.
They do.
And you'll get your answer right there, my
They
friend.
do.
Mhm.
Because they got no reason to lie
Yeah,
to you. But as much as I would like to talk about that, we gotta hop into the hot topic right now that's in Florida and really the entire country is this redistricting that's happening. Of course, DeSantis is trying to redistrict your state, try to wipe out Democratic representation, Black people's representation, and we're seeing it across the entire South.
yeah,
But in Florida, and I wonder if you're hearing this on the ground, the way that they want to try to redistrict Florida, they may be stretching thin some Republican held districts just to try to bleed them into the blue and try to turn these districts red again. So what are you hearing about that? Do you think this redistricting could possibly backfire on DeSantis and the Republicans, given how unpopular they are right now?
Listen, I agree. And it is going to backfire on him. They already, Ron DeSantis signed the maps into play. It's being appealed right now with courts and everything. So we don't know for sure what's going to happen. But my district hasn't changed that much. As you guys know, I'm running against Randy Fine, one of the, I think is the worst of the worst. I don't even know what to call him anymore. Because he's like everything in the book. I just sometimes pick it out of the hat. But things like that, where you have a state where people believe is red, which Florida is not a red state. And I tell people this every single day. Florida only has 40.8% registered Republicans. Everybody else are Democrats and left-leaning independents. And what people don't understand is that we just gerrymandered in 2022 the most they can. And now with these new maps, for instance, where Mike Haradopoulos is at, they just took some of that area and gave it Orange County, which come out and vote 60 to 90% of the time on every single election, which is a blue county. And with people like Ron DeSantis not being popular, Donald Trump is very unpopular, and Randy Fine is totally unpopular. My district is now flippable. And with my background in law enforcement, I already have these petitions here. I already got 400 of them signed by registered Republicans.
Wow.
400 of them. And
good for you.
Yeah. And I was the first candidate in the state of Florida to be on the ballot by petitions between all parties. And because we have a good, strong movement coming, I got Republicans volunteering on my campaign right now. Because
I mean, you can make them put their money where their mouth is if you back the blue.
Yeah, give me my
right.
Exactly, because a lot of them was just misinformed about our party. They just listened to Fox when I approached them. They're like, "You guys hate cops. You guys love crime, and you trying to take away our guns." And then when I tell them my background, they be like, "Really?
Oh, okay."
Yeah. On top of that, I have 5 children, and I got guns in my house. It's just I want my child to come home at the end of the day. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with this redistricting thing, I 100% believe that it's going to backfire. I even went to the point where I told somebody in the Florida Democratic Party that's head up, I'm like, I wouldn't even fight this in court. I will let it go through. Right? Listen, we got to fight.
Do it.
Listen,
please do it.
Let them do it, because it's going to backfire on them way worse than they imagine. And now we're getting like, oh, okay, now we got to start throwing a lot of money into these races now. We messed up. You got grassroots people with a background in law enforcement, EMS, somebody like me who's Black and Latino. Right. And guess who the people this administration is now targeting the most that's going to turn up on these midterms? Black and Latinos, right? We can flip these midterms. That's who made Obama win 2 times this state, the Black and Latino vote. And now what Trump has done with these ICE things as a form of law enforcement, abolish ICE, I'm saying that right now, abolish them. But he done made the Latino community in this state mad. And guess who run this state? So definitely flippable. And I can't wait to show them in November that we're going to take back this state.
And that would just be so much poetic justice if they were to do this and actually end up losing more seats than they think they're going to gain. And I tell people, and I've been telling people all week, like, look, they can try to gerrymander these little 12, 13 seats. That's not going to stop them from this blue tsunami that's coming across.
Yeah. Listen, we just flipped Mar-a-Lago, and it wasn't even. It wasn't even.
Sure enough.
So imagine when midterms come, where you got a big push. It's going to be a great time for the Democrats in November.
So,
love it.
You know, obviously, I think it's amazing that you're getting Republican signatures, right, on petitions for the ballot. What I'm sure there's a lot of people that you run into that disagree with you politically or are really scared about the idea a progressive policies and progressive politics. What are some of the other ways that you're making connections with people in Florida that might, you know, be politically completely different than where you're coming from?
So you are not going to change a far right MAGA's mind.
Sure.
So we have two ways we're attacking this. Me, my campaign, we are praying Randy Fine wins his primary. Like, we want that to happen because that will help us, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just straight out the bat, that will help us. The way we deal with the far right, and I got two parts to this. The way we deal with the far rights is we try to talk to them. I get to them. I explain to them my background because usually we connect because of law enforcement, right? A lot of people think, a lot of them think Democrats are not law enforcement, so we connect with there. I can tell you that some of them I can't change their mind, but what I can say is majority of them say, "Oh, that guy Randy Fine, he's a piece of crap. I'm not voting for him." I said, "Okay,
Yeah.
that's a win for me because if they're not going to vote for Randy Fine, that's a vote for Ronnie, right?"
Yeah.
So those are far rights. Now, when you get to the moderates and the kind of okay people, talk to them. I go to places where a politician haven't been in many years. I go to the low income projects. I walk into the woods to knock on that trailer home and just put my face to their eyes and be like, "Listen, I know we're not the same party, but what can I do to help you? Just give me one thing. If you can tell a Democrat right now, what can we do to help you?" And of course, they'll say this far right idea. I'll be like, "Okay, I maybe can't do that, but how about we meet somewhere in the middle?
Yeah.
You give me this, and I'll give you this. Maybe that can work." And you people don't understand how surprisingly it would be where we actually agree on a lot of things. It's just the way they're being told about those things. I tell people I've been in law enforcement for almost 10 years since I came down to Florida. I never pepper sprayed anybody. I never tased anybody. I never shot anybody. 99% of the people that we encounter is an underlying issue that the government could fix if they really cared about people. People, yeah, you're going to always have that 1% that's doing it for fun and gangs and all that stuff. But when you got people stealing food and stuff from Walmart to resell and if you go to the deeper issue, it's they were doing it to pay their rent or pay their
Yeah.
gas, or those things the government was made to help them with. Where in the state of Florida, you don't get that much help as New York helps you,
Right.
and or mental illness, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we cared about mental illness, 90% of these criminals has an underlying mental issue that they should not be in jail. They should be getting mental medical help. And
Absolutely.
in Florida, which is what's surprising to me, is that law enforcement is the ones that decide if somebody needs mental help or not. And we only get 3 days of training in the police academy for that. 3 days. In New York, when I was in EMS, we decided that as a medical professional under the license of a doctor, where we got months of training. And so there's so much that we can do, but people are seeing it. They are connecting. I do things and I look at people, not as red, not as blue, and not an independent. You are a person
Right.
that needs help somewhere. Let me help you. And that's what usually connects me to the Republican Party. That, oh wow, there's a Democrat that actually care about not his party, because I tell him I hate my party sometimes too. Just something
Yeah.
we don't agree
Yeah.
on. I don't agree with them. And for them to hear that is that, wow, okay, now we're talking. And that's what usually get them to click. And that's how I got a lot of them to just say, this guy's really great. He really cares
Yeah.
about me, not being a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that you approach it that way, because like we are really living in a time where people are just desperate,
Yeah,
and desperation
yeah,
drives people to
yeah,
crime.
Yeah.
Mental illness drives people to
yeah,
crime. Like things that, like you said,
yeah,
could be easily fixed by the government
yeah,
if we would just change our
yeah,
priorities. I mean, there's billions of dollars out there that are going to the top 500,000 companies. It doesn't even happen like
yeah.
that. I mean, if we could reinvest in our own people, I think we would see a revolution in
Absolutely. I
crime.
agree. And it works. I'm a I'm a I'm a I'm proof that it works. I work the EMS and law enforcement where we have some kind of recidivism program to make sure people don't go back into in Mount Dora and in Sumter County where I work at, they have that program. And I'm a proof that it works if we put enough time and effort into somebody instead of saying you're a lost cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
So, one question we ask as we wind things down, because I want to make sure you have more time with your wife. We are recording this on Mother's Day, and you've
Yeah.
got 5 children. So, Mama needs a break, and we want to make sure she gets it. We ask this of every candidate. We know the answer, but we want you to say it out loud. Ronnie, do you accept any corporate PAC money?
Oh, no.
Any APAC or foreign interest money?
Nope.
You are grassroots through and through.
Through and through. I mean, listen, I don't know how people can accept AIPAC money. It's just what's happened, that genocide that's happened over there. How can you not have a heart? I don't care what country you're from, it's children, innocent people. So, yeah, we all allow for that.
Yeah, love that. Okay, so before I hand it over to Seth for final words, when your campaign is over, win or lose, what do you want your community, like what's one thing you want the people in your district to know that you stand for? If you
I,
could pick one thing.
what do I stand for? I stand for the people. Like, it's just like my whole life, you know, has been dedicated to serving others and giving back to the community. And I even told my Democratic opponent that if he wins the primary, I'm helping him out, right?
Right.
Because it's that kind of atmosphere that we shouldn't be fighting with each other. It's really for the people, and even after this, I'm not going to give up. I'll
Yeah.
probably run again next year, or special election come, because I'm wanted and needed somewhere, and wherever God choose that path for me, I'm there. So I'm just a people person through and through, wherever I can help at. Because even before this, I was a youth football coach for my son's football team, volunteering. Like, I just, wherever I'm needed and I can spare the extra time, I am there. So I just want the people to know that even if I lose this election, primaries or the general, you're not going to stop seeing me like some other politicians or other candidates, because I'm going to still be active in my community all over Florida. Because this campaign, I have built a great platform. I'm getting so many views. I'm pushing like 5 to 7 million views a month on Threads. It's like I met so many good people. I met Kathy Griffin, Steve Hofstadter, like all these good networking people that I just can't let go to waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that's
love it. Love it. That's great, Ronnie.
And yeah, man. That's a great thing to hear, man. Because obviously, I looked on your website when I was, researching you, and I mean, it was just very obvious that you're very ingrained in your community. You got a big, beautiful family, and you want to see them do well. You want to see your kids do well, and that all comes down to the community that you're rooted in, because it does take a village to raise kids like that. And I'm just so glad that a guy like you is running in Florida, a place where we badly need people who can reach across the aisle. And I'm just glad that you're the type of guy that can do that.
Yeah.
But you got your priorities.
Yeah, we gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
So before we go, Ronnie, where can people find you? What's your campaign website? Are you on all the socials? How can people connect with you and support you?
Yeah, listen, I'm out there. You can just type my name in Google right now and it pops up everything. But yeah, my website is ron4congress.com. It's Ron, the number 4congress.com, all one word. Or if you got social medias, it's going to be Ron4Congress, FOR. On all social medias, it's the same. It's just that, somebody already took the FOR website, so I had to be creative. But I'm everywhere. My team always answers. If you ever got a question or anything, please reach out.
Awesome. Well, this was such a pleasure, Ronnie. I mean, you're a real one, and I'm not surprised because you were born and raised in New York City.
That's right.
And you take that with you wherever you go for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that's why you're finding your way into these underrepresented, underserved communities and feeling comfortable reaching out to those people. And that's That's just so what we need in our politics and from our politicians these days. So thank you so much for coming to Lift Out Loud
Thank you
today.
for having me.
Absolutely. We wish you the best of luck. And we say this to everyone that comes on. You're a friend of the show now. If you need anything, if you need a push, you come back, always come back. And we're happy to do whatever we can to get you to win that primary.
Yeah, we're going to do it. Definitely another one of these right after we win.
Yeah. For sure.
Let's go.
For sure,
let's go, baby.
You send me that email, but like, you won. Let's do it.
Yes, absolutely.
It's on.
Yeah, of course. And you guys got my contact information. If you guys ever need me, I'm here for you.
Thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate you so much, man. Great. Best of luck and big, beautiful, bright future ahead of you, no matter what happens. But we're rooting for you. I think big things are going to come your way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good luck to you, Ronnie.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Allie.
Hey, Seth.
So today we got to talk to Ronnie Murchinson-Rivera, and I mean, what a great guy. Could tell that he was super rooted in his community, has his priorities in order, and I mean, so excited that a guy like him is running in Florida.
Me too. I mean, that's what Florida needs. He was born and raised in New York City, and he's brought all of that sort of grit and determination with him into Florida. He's really made a lot of headway, creating connection in his community, especially as someone working in law enforcement. And he's just got it, he's doing this for the right reasons. That's so evident to me, and I'm sure to you, just through talking with him. And great candidate. Really rooting for him.
And obviously, progressive grassroots guy, the kind of people that we need in Congress right now. And it was really very encouraging what he was saying about the redistricting possibility in Florida, and how that may be something that the Republicans might want to rethink. They're always laying the traps for themselves. First the SAVE Act, and now this. So it's great that he's there, and he's a guy that can reach across the aisle, right? Like, he's the kind of guy that they can go in there and flip a red district. So love Ronnie.
Oh, Republicans. Oh, what a tangled web we weave with all of this.
And first we practice to deceive.
Right. So, we're going to see how that plays out, but I feel like Ronnie's the right guy at the right time. In the perfect district to really benefit from somebody with just real everyday working American ideas for making Florida better. And we're going to root for him. His primary is in August. Seth, you and I have a poop ton of interviews coming up over these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we do.
So many really exciting time. We have something else big coming maybe in late June. We're superstitious, so we're not going to get into that too much, but we have been invited to cover an event and sit down with a candidate who I think by now you all know who we're talking about, but again, superstitious. We'll bring more to you once those event dates are finalized and we know exactly when we will be going to do all of that. Extremely exciting. But for now,
and then our folks are going to love it. Our people are going to love it. So get excited, folks.
Get excited.
We're working on something big.
Big deal. Okay. So I'm not going to, let's cut it because we're right back at this tomorrow, Seth. And I think on Tuesday, we have 2 back-to-back interviews. So it's going to be a crazy week.
Let's go.
But this is why we love doing this. So people get to know people like Ronnie. So I will see you again, Seth, tomorrow already.
All right. Bet.
Bye.
Later.